Alright, this is John Colo at DiscountJuicers.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you, and what we're going to do in the video today is we're going to compare the all-new Omega TWN30S, that's over on this side, with the Omega NC800. So the Omega NC800 has been one of my favorite single auger juicers on the market, and the all-new Omega TWN30S is Omega's recent entry into the twin gear market. And, you know, I recently had a customer that had been using an Omega NC800 for many years in her home, and she has a second home, and for her second home, she's like, oh, I'm going to get the Omega TWN30S. It's an upgrade because it costs more and it's newer technology and all this stuff. She bought it and she promptly returned it and she hated it and she got another NC800. She was trying to actually juice some kind of fruits, and I don't necessarily recommend either of these guys for juicing fruits, although one of these machines will do better than the others with juicing fruits. But for the majority of you guys, what I really want you guys to juice are the vegetables, and specifically the leafy green vegetables. They're the most important food on this entire planet, and most people just simply do not eat enough of them. You know, they have some salads here and there, some greens, but people are not eating enough. Like the per capita consumption of kale is less kale than I eat in, you know, a day of worth of juice, you know. And I really want to encourage you guys to increase your leafy green percentage. You know, in leafy greens are the most nutrient dense foods, which means they have the most amount of, you know, things like amino acids, proteins, vitamins, and minerals, and phytochemicals and phytonutrients and antioxidants as compared to the calories they have. And many of the different phytochemicals and phytonutrients are new and emerging research is showing, you know, those are the things that help fight disease and can help keep you young. And so this is why I think the greens are so important. And so these are probably the two Omega juicers that do the greens the best out of all the different Omega juicers on the market. And I want to go over them really quickly to show you guys the main differences, okay? So over on this side we have the Omega NC800. This is known as a single auger horizontal juicer. Let's go ahead and take this apart. There's only a few pieces, and that's one of the things about both these machines. They're very easy to assemble and disassemble. On this machine we have an end cap. On the end cap it has a little dial here. I don't know if you guys can see the numbers, but you could dial it from 0 to 5, and that basically sets how much back pressure is being put on the produce. So for example, if you're doing fruits, you're going to want to take it to 0, maybe even take it off, or put it like a 1, and if you're juicing something like carrots or leafy greens, you're going to put it all the way to 5 to keep the most back pressure so that you're going to get the highest yield. So that's this end cap piece. The next piece, very simple, you just have the juicing screen. So the Omega NC800 is a 2-stage juicer. When you put the produce in, it hits the auger, it is immediately crushed, and on some, you know, watery, juicy fruits like oranges, upon that initial crushing, juice is squeezed out. And it's this juice that comes out stage number 1, which is plastic here, and the juice drips through stage 1. If the juice doesn't come out on the initial crush, it is then worked down the auger into this cone, and the produce is crushed down and squeezed out, and then the juice comes out stage 2 screen right here. Then funnels out down to the bottom here. And this is the main auger of the machine. This is what makes it happen. You know, looking at this auger here, this is my personal unit that I use, and I'm not seeing any kind of scratching, maybe a small bit of scratching near this part of the auger, which can be a challenge with some juicers, horizontal auger juicers. This is just the design. And then finally we have the main drum, or the body of the juicer, with the feed chute opening. You guys can see this is like the enlarged stadium style opening. So this is 80-odd% larger than standard openings on most single auger juicers, so I do like this a lot. It makes feeding things a lot easier. And this is one piece. So I mean, literally, these are all the pieces that you need to clean when you're going to clean this juicer, and that makes this machine one of the easiest to clean juicers in the entire world, in my opinion. The hardest part to clean on any juicer is the juicing screen, and there's actually very little juicing screen area on this machine. And it comes with a nice toothbrush style nylon firm bristle brush that you could actually brush out the screen from the outside and the inside after each use to get it clean. Finally, we have the motor body here, and it's actually a fair bit heavy. This machine does come with a 15-year warranty, which is the longest warranty in the juicing industry. And it's nice and heavy duty, and it runs at 80 RPMs, or revolutions per minute. So that's actually nice and slow. Let's go ahead and repeat the process and show you guys how easy it is to assemble this machine. Basically, you're going to take the drum here and slide this top collar to open. Put that in place, slide it to close, locks into place. Super simple, super easy. Next, we're going to take the auger, shove that all the way in. It's going to go into the back. Now, it's not going to be flush with the back. This is very important to note. And it may be a little bit loose in there. That's just part of the design. And then we're going to take the screen. Always the first stage screen is always pointed down. Slide that right in there. And finally, slide in this end cap and slide it to close and slap that down to 5 most back pressure, because we will be juicing some greens and some carrots in just a little bit. So that's how easy it is to assemble. Now, this is the very juice that I got my parents, who are now actually grandparents, for my brother's kid, not for my kids yet, because I don't have kids. But this is the machine I got them for something that's older. I mean, this is super simple, super easy to use. It doesn't require much effort. I mean, you'll have to, help guide and push the produce in, but you don't have to really shove it in there and push really hard, right? The auger will start to wrap around the greens and chunk off pieces of carrot and accept it relatively easy. Also, I do believe that my parents need to juice more greens. So if you guys are watching this, please, Mom and Dad, juice more greens, juice some vegetables, get out that juicer and start using it. So this is the easiest to use and clean, and that's simply why I got it for them. Now, over on this side, we have the Omega TWN30S. This is a whole different beast, or juicer, altogether. Let's go ahead and disassemble this unit and show you guys the different parts. So first, once again, very similar design. We got this end cap here that holds everything together. Next, we have these two pieces here, which actually holds the gears in place, and this is the outlet adjusting knob that I'm actually unscrewing right here. And what this has a spring tension. So the spring tension, there's no real settings on it, although you can unscrew it and not screw it in all the way to keep a lesser tension on the produce. But basically, the spring tension keeps the produce in the machine, and it's actually a lot of tension, and only lets it out when it's completely dry. So in general, you're going to want to screw this all the way in if you're juicing things like carrots and leafy greens and hard vegetables, and you're going to screw it all the way out, maybe even take it off if you're juicing fruits, or maybe just like one screw, so that it has some space so that things could come out without having to really push against the screen. The big challenges, especially the dual augers have, is with softer things that are not super fibrous. So for example, things that are cucumbers that are nice and soft, it can have a challenge with that. So if you want to juice cucumbers, it'd be best to juice like a cucumber, then some celery, or a cucumber, some carrot, cucumber, carrot, and keep rotating that. Then it's going to work great. And if likewise, if you want to juice pineapples, instead of juicing straight pineapples, which would probably not work so well, and even in the Omega NC800, you're going to juice some pineapple, some carrot, some pineapple, some carrot, and keep alternating pieces of each of the items until you're done, and it's going to work fabulous. If you just try to do pineapple alone, it's not going to work too well. All right, so that's this piece. Next on this machine, of course, we have the juicing screen right here. Now this juicing screen does have a little more screen area because there is, pieces on the bottom and the top that will need to get cleaned. Also, it looks like the screen hole size is smaller than the NC800, and you have to clean the screen with, once again, the oversized toothbrush that you could scrub out the top and the inside of. And this is a clear plastic housing, which looks pretty good. And I've only used this machine a few times. It looks like I'm already getting some lines on the plastic from maybe the gears, which is quite interesting. Next, we have the two twin gears. And instead of like on the Omega NC800, where there's a single auger that literally chunks off pieces, and the auger basically forces the produce into a smaller and smaller space and literally crushes and squeezes out the juice, this works a little bit differently. These are just two gears inside, much like a transmission inside a car for you car buffs out there. But basically on this machine, how it works is you literally have to stick the produce in between the gears, and it literally puts it between the gears and it chews it up, kind of like our teeth, right? And the good thing about this is that on the leafy greens, it literally sucks the leafy greens right out of your hands, right into the juicer to get juiced up. I recently saw this juicing wheatgrass, and it actually did a phenomenal job. I was quite impressed. But on something like carrots that are nice and hard, you're really going to have to take the pusher and push the produce into the juicer with the pusher for it to work properly. So the first stage on this machine is crushing. So this part of the gear where it's a nylon on the back, then a whole bunch of stainless steel with pocket recess that's going to break up the strings on the celery, is the crushing stage. And then you have the squeezing stage, which is the second stage of the gears right here, where the juice is then, the pulp is squeezed out and the juice comes out the bottom of the machine. So that's how these gears work. Now this machine runs at 160 RPM, so that's like double the amount of the NC800. Still, I consider both these machines slow juicers because they do run at significantly lower RPMs than the high speed machines that can run 3,000 to 10,000 plus RPMs. Finally, once again, we have this collar that we would unlatch and pull out this housing here. And this is a two-piece housing. We got the housing, and then we have the funnel piece that's detachable. On the NC800, it's not detachable. But this whole, the feed chute size is a bit smaller. This is about 1.5 inches in diameter. So, you know, the NC800's feed chute is about 80% larger. So I do like larger feed chutes. It definitely makes feeding produce a lot easier. So let's go ahead and put this guy back together. And this guy is actually quite heavy as well. And once again, this guy also has the longest warranty in the juicing industry, 15 years. You really can't go wrong with either of these machines. And both these machines both have their pros and cons. So now I'm going to go ahead and assemble the Omega TWN30S. The first step is to take the main juicer body, put that inside, and then we're going to go ahead and slide it to close. The next step is we're going to go ahead and take the screen, and this hole on the screen always faces up, and that's just going to slide in like that. Next, we're going to go ahead and take the two twin gears, line this guy up, and you got to basically line up the red dot, the single red dot with the two red dots, and it's going to make a triangle, kind of like that. And then you're going to go ahead and feed these guys in through the screen, rotating it, and it'll seat all the way back. Next, we're going to take the outlet adjusting knob and the apparatus here and put that in. And then finally, we take the locking cap, shove that on there, and close it like that. And literally, we're all set up, ready to juice. So, I mean, if you look at these guys, the NC800 is actually quite nice and long and big. And the Omega TWN30S is a little bit more compact, so I actually like the compactness of the TWN30S. And the NC800, it's actually kind of a beast, or the puppy, because it kind of looks like a puppy with you know, the 2 feet in the back and the front. Now, what I want you guys to know is, what I try to share with you guys in my videos, is that, you know, each style of juicer, whether it's a twin gear or single auger, horizontal or vertical, or centrifugal ejection or masticating, you know, each one of them has their pros and cons, and I'm trying to lay out that for you. Once you guys know how to assemble and disassemble, you definitely saw that the pros of the NC800 were the larger feed chute. Also, it was a lot easier to assemble and disassemble and to clean based on there's simply less parts. Now, some of the advantages of the TWN30S is that in general the twin gear juicers tend to juice the hard vegetables like the carrots significantly better than the single augers. You know, also this is literally self-feeding and tends not to clog up when you're juicing softer stems, like say you're juicing different herbs like basil or other medicinal herbs that are legal in certain states. You could juice it with the stems and all in this machine. It'll just grind it up and kick it out, whereas on the NC800 that can tend to bind and clog up the auger and get stuck. And once again, on the fruits, both these guys really just don't do fruits that well. The NC800 will juice fruits a little bit better than the twin gear, but I always encourage you guys, if you want to juice fruits, juice it with your vegetables. It's going to work significantly better. And if you want to juice mostly fruits, get a juicer that's going to, you know, do fruits a lot better, such as a vertical single auger juicers. And be sure to check my other videos, you know, for videos comparing other juicer styles than these two styles. Also, I want to encourage you guys, before I forget, to support me in my work. If you like the videos that I make comparing the juicers, that you guys can see them in person, because nobody else is literally doing this work or doing it to the detail that I do, please support me so that I can continue to make more videos like this and continue to educate people through YouTube, because it's your support that allows me to do this. And if people don't support me, then I won't be able to do this. So be sure to make your juicer purchase at discountjuicers.com. to help support me so that I can continue my work in education online. Alright, so I guess the next thing I want to really get into is get into the juice off. And what we're going to do in the juice off is we're going to juice 1 pound of baby organic Power Greens mix in each of the juicers, along with 17 ounces of carrots, and we're going to time it to see how long it takes to juice in each one. And then at the end we're going to go ahead and see the yield results and see which juicer will reign supreme in the yield results, and also see which juicer made a drier pulp and which juicer created more foam in the process. So I'm going to get set up for that, and we'll be back at you in just a few seconds. So now I'm all set up and ready to juice in these 2 juicers, and what we're going to juice today, as I mentioned, are the Earthbound Organic Power Greens. So this is a mixture of like spinach and kale and Swiss chard, and these guys are often very inexpensive to purchase at your local warehouse club stores such as Costco or Sam's Club or maybe BJ's. And so I like them because they're organic and they're pre-washed and they're very easy to use, so there's no additional washing, cleaning, drying, or anything like that for you guys. So I want to make juicing easy for you guys. The other thing we're going to juice are these guys right here. What we have measured out in each of the containers are 17 ounces of organic heirloom carrots. So we have some purple color carrots, a yellow carrot, and a white carrot. 6 carrots in all. 4 of the purples and 1 white and 1 yellow in each of the containers. And the Power Greens mix is 1 pound of Power Greens in each bag. So all this has been weighed out and it's equal. And I guess without further ado, let's get into juicing. I think first I'm going to go ahead and use the Omega NC800. So we're going to go ahead and pull these guys back so I could get them a little bit easier. And what we're going to do for you guys, actually we're going to go ahead and time this. And so I got a little stopwatch app, so we're going to go ahead and hit start, and I'm just going to go ahead and juice, and you guys can see how long it takes me to juice 1 pound of the greens and about 1 pound or 17 ounces of carrots. Now, very important, you guys need to rotate the produce you're juicing. So put like a handful of greens, and then a little bit of carrot, some greens, some carrot, some greens, some carrot until you're done. Instead of doing like all the carrot and then all the greens, that's not going to work as well. All right, so without further ado, let's get started. So we got that going, and we're going to go ahead and tear this bag open, turn this guy on, and let's get juicing. So it looks like we got about the last bit of greens coming out of this bag going right into the juicer. This has been actually very easy and very efficient with the nice large feed chute on the Omega NC800, which is the largest feed chute on any horizontal single R juicer. This is definitely all empty. We got all the greens preloaded, and we're just going to go ahead and push the rest in with a carrot. So I always encourage you guys, instead of using the pusher, use some nice firm produce to push the produce into the machine. This will definitely is going to save you some time. One of my many tricks that I like to use to minimize the time it takes me to juice. Alright, so as you guys can hear, the Omega NC800 is literally taking that carrot, crunching it up. You guys can see the carrot sitting in there in the feed chute. The auger's coming around, and then this is almost self-feeding, not as self-feeding as like a vertical single auger like the Omega BSJ843. But this self-feeding on the carrot, you can see the nice white carrot pulp coming out the end, and this is nice firm tension on it to get the pulp really dry. So this actually works quite well. We're going to go ahead and let this run a few more seconds and turn this guy off. And now we're going to go ahead and stop this. Looks like we're at literally 5 minutes total. So that's how long it took us to juice in the Omega NC800. About 5 minutes. So next we're going to go ahead and juice in the Omega TWN30S Twin Gear Juicer. Once again, we're going to hit start, and we're going to go ahead and get juicing for you guys. And go ahead and tear this bag open. Now in the Omega TWN30S, we'll turn this baby on. It's running a little bit faster. Does that mean it's going to be quicker to juice? Well, I don't know. We'll soon see. And on this machine, you will need to use the pusher to help push things in to the feed chute and into the machine, especially the carrots. The greens are relatively easy to push in, But once we start feeding in the carrots, it's going to get a little more challenging. The greens are almost self-feeding once you can get them in there. And yeah, let's just go ahead and push that in with a carrot. Alright, so looks like I got all the greens out of this bag. That's pretty much it. Maybe there's like one more in there. We're going to go ahead and put those greens in there, and then we're going to go ahead and push in the last carrot. Now I do need to mention that, you know, the greens fed in rather well. The carrot, it does take some downward force. So I'm like, you know, using the wooden pusher that will basically go into the gears, but it doesn't really grind off the wood. This is like a cutting board quality pusher. And you know, it does take some downward force that I'm using to press the carrot into the machine. So if you're, you know, a little bit older, have arthritis or anything, don't have strength in your arms or your hands to actually do this, this might not be the juicer you want to buy. So yeah, we push that all the way in there, round it all the way up, and you know, we're going to give this a few more seconds to work, and then we're going to go ahead and shut it off. Looks like it's worked fairly well. And I actually want to go ahead right now and compare the pulp for you guys. Oh, let's go ahead and turn this guy off. Oh wow, man, look at that. It took 8 minutes and 30 seconds. So 5 minutes, we'll throw the times up. 5 minutes, 8 minutes and 30 seconds. I mean, that just took significantly longer to juice in the TWN30S. So if you don't have time on your side, get the Omega NC100. It's going to save you a bunch of time, you know, than using this machine that was a lot slower. I mean, the main things are because, number one, the feed chute size was larger, so it's a lot easier to get the produce in there. Number two, this is almost auto feeding, whereas this one, the feed chute size is smaller, and it took some, you know, time to push the carrots in and some downward force to get those carrots fed in to the twin gear. So let's see, we're gonna go ahead and tip this guy up a little bit. Get all the juice out of there. And then we're going to go ahead and tip this guy up. Oh, a lot of juice in there. Alright, move these guys out of the way here. And now I want to go ahead and check the pulp here. So this is the pulp off the TWN30S. This is the pulp off the Omega NC800. Just sticking my hand in here at random, getting a bunch of the pulp and squeezing it out. Wow, that's actually fairly efficient. I'm not seeing any drops come out. I'm seeing a few drops come out, but it's not enough to squeeze it out. So it looks like that actually did quite a good job. Over on the Omega NC800 side, I'm going to go ahead and grab a bunch of this pulp here and once again squeeze this out. So I could feel a little bit more juice squeezing out, and you might see a few drops. But once again, this is actually, in my opinion, very efficient and did an impressive job. So if I just had to say which pulp is drier, I'm going to have to say the Omega TWN30S had drier pulp overall. Now let's go back and check the most important thing, the juice yield. So to do this, I want it to be a level playing field. So we're going to use actually a strainer in both these machines to see which juicer created more foam, which created more pulp, and which, more importantly, created more juice. Here's the juice from the NC800. Also, you guys see there's actually a very little foam in there. So let's go ahead and pour this guy right through. So as I'm pouring it through, I'm not seeing a whole lot of pulp being caught in the strainer here. It's quite impressive. We're already at 2 cups. In general, 1 pound of leafy greens will produce 1 cup of juice, and 1 pound of carrots will also produce about 1 cup of juice. Now, as we get down to the end of the Omega NC800 container here, there's a lot of particulate and fiber that I'm straining out. So if you don't want to drink this, and there's nothing wrong with drinking it, it's totally preference, you know, you will want to strain your juice. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and shake that guy down a little bit and let that go ahead and settle. And now we're going to go ahead and take the juice from the Omega TWN30S and actually check out this head on there. I don't know if you guys could see that, but see the foam on there? A lot more foam in this machine than with the Omega NC800. Pour this guy out very carefully. So, you know, just like on the Omega NC800, I'm not seeing a lot of pulp being collected in the juicing screen in the beginning. And as we go down, there's a little bit more. Oh, now there's a bunch of bunch more pulp and foam by the time we pour down to the end. Alright, so that's it. So we're going to go ahead and shake these guys down so we can get all the juice out. Alright man, you're shaking me down. I'm shaking you guys down. Give me all your money. Alright, so check this out. This is actually quite impressive. So this is the Omega TWN30S. On this side, there's very little pulp in the juice, you know, and there was some foam, but you know, it filtered out some of it. And on the Omega NC800 side, there's significantly more pulp that was created, you know, that was put in the juice. Now you could drink this once again, no problem, but I like to filter it out. And now let's go ahead and compare and check the yields. So let's go ahead and give you guys a close-up of the juices over on the Omega TWN30S side. Looks like the juicer made approximately just about 600 milliliters, it looks like. And now going over to the NC800 side, looks like it's maybe at like 575 milliliters of juice. So that's 2.5 cups approximately on the NC800 side. And if we move over to the TWN30S, it's a little bit over 2.5 cups. Alright, so as you guys just saw, the TWN30S made more juice. My calculations are correct. It made about 4% more juice, which is definitely more juice. But it did make more foam, you know, and it made less pulp in the juice, whereas the NC800 made a little bit less juice and more pulp. If I would have left the pulp in there, maybe even would have been a tie, but I like to remove the pulp to let you guys know how much pulp is going to be in the juice, because I know some of you guys hate the pulp. Fiber is good for us, don't forget, right? As much as I like the juice, I eat plenty of fiber during other times of the day by eating whole fruits and whole other vegetables and salads at night for dinner. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and try this juice. We'll try the juice out of the TWN30S. Just a little bit of green juice right here for me. That actually tastes quite good for what it is. And next we're going to go ahead and taste the NC800 juice. They taste very similar. For some reason, the juice in the Omega TWN30S tastes a little bit better for me. Just a little bit. This one tastes a bit more bitter. This one tastes a little bit sweeter, so I don't know if that has to do with like the way the juicer was able to get in and extract the juice from the carrots. I mean, it did make a drier pulp, and it looks like to me that the pulp is a little bit more grind up more finely, which means it's really getting in there, breaking up the cell walls, and getting more nutrition in the juice. But nonetheless, either juicer you use to juice your greens and get more vegetables in you is definitely a good thing to do. In the end, I'm going to have to declare the winner based on the yield. The Omega TWN30S made about 4% more juice in the juice off, so it did yield more. But on the flip side, it took longer to juice. You know, 5 minutes compared to 8.5 minutes. It's going to take me longer to clean. And for me personally, I'd much rather use the Omega NC800 to juice this recipe. It was easier to use, easier to clean, the juicer costs less money, and just overall, in my opinion, that's definitely the way to go. So sorry, Omega TWN30S, although you won in the yield, you know, you still got some things to work on. I mean, given the right produce items you're juicing, it may do fabulous and work really well. Like if you're juicing a lot of long leafy greens with stems, that's definitely going to be the way to go. I really hope you guys enjoyed this episode. If you did, please let me know and give me a thumbs up. Also be sure to share this video with your friends that are looking for a juicer. Also be sure to click that subscribe button right down below to be updated and get notified of my new and upcoming episodes. And also be sure to check my past episodes. I have over 400 episodes comparing all different juicers to one another so that you guys can be empowered to select the correct juicer for you based on what I'm sharing with you guys, because I just basically tell like it is. If I think it's this way or that way, I'll tell it to you guys. I got nothing to hide. I sell all the major brands of juicers. I'm not going to say this juicer is better when clearly it may not be. Of course, I always have my personal favorites as well. And finally, I want to encourage you guys to support me and my work. You know, I make these videos because many of you guys have in the past and hopefully in the future will have supported me, and by buying your juicer from discountjuicers.com, which allows me to make these videos, which allows me to make other educational videos on YouTube as well to make the difference in the world that I want to see. And unfortunately, big corporations are not doing this to make changes in the world. They're just doing this for money. And so yeah, support me, and be sure to check my other videos. And that's pretty much it for this episode. I think I'm going to go ahead and enjoy my green juice. And one of the questions I get asked a lot is, John, what do you do with all that green juice you make after you're done with the juice off? I pour it down the sink, man. I don't drink this. No, just kidding. No, I drink all this stuff. This is also my next meal of the day, and sometimes I'll save it and make a soup out of it at night for dinner. In any case, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Once again, my name is John Kohler from DiscountJuicers.com. Be sure to visit DiscountJuicers.com/YouTube for special promotional offers for our YouTube visitors. Solo Star 4 against the Slow Star juicer. Now both these are single auger juicers, and before I get into the